Uniting the World. ECO is the name of the nonprofit we are incorporated. Before we get started, I'd like to get your initial impression of what the word or prefix ECO means to you. So when I say ECO, what words or phrases come to mind?
Environment.
Environment.
Think of ecology.
Think of the entire world as a system.
Interconnectedness.
Yeah. Nice. So that's basically what I've found when thinking about ECO. So before we get started, just note that this information was designed for the common good, so please use it freely to that end. Also, this is an intense presentation. There's a lot to process. When I practiced this presentation on my friends, I got responses like mind-blowing, but you need to warn people this is a really progressive idea. With that, let's get started. Here you see the general layout for the presentation. First, we'll place ourselves in time, then we'll bring to life the philosophy of ECO. We'll talk about the premier projects of ECO, ECO Media, and ECO Beats. And then we'll tie it all together in the conclusion. So we'll start with the most glaring problem, global warming. We extract death from the ground and release it into the atmosphere for the purpose of doing work. Carbon dioxide is the greatest emission from this activity. It is a greenhouse gas. By definition, it holds heat in our atmosphere. During the Industrial Revolution, humanity learned how to mechanize work powered predominantly by coal. Since then, CO2 concentration has risen from 280 to 395 parts per million. Last time CO2 levels were this high was 15 million years ago, when seas were 25 to 35 meters higher and the atmosphere was 3 to 6 degrees Celsius warmer. This time, we've so rapidly changed the composition of our atmosphere, the planet has yet to respond much. We need to reverse this trend now, for there are positive reinforcers that could put us, the planet, on a spiral into hell. For example, glaciers reflect a much more full spectrum of light back out of the atmosphere than darker land or ocean. As these melt, more heat is absorbed at the surface of the planet. Another example, the loss of vegetation that recycles carbon. Not only are we cutting down forests, but we're changing the climates in which plants can survive and have lived in for ages. The Amazon has been referred to as the lung of the planet as it fixes 1/3 of our oxygen, yet we have condemned the majority of this to death. In the last century, we have heated the planet about 1 degree Celsius. One major crisis inextricably linked to CO2 emissions is the acidification of the oceans. As if we weren't content over fishing the seas, we've found another way to decimate aquatic life. It's a delicate equilibrium between the concentration of CO2 in the atmosphere and the concentration in water. When submersed in water, CO2 is attacked by a free proton and becomes an acid. It's causing a decrease in pH of our oceans that could make all coral reefs extinct by 2050. We are entering the 6th mass extinction period of our planet. Difference this time, humanity is living through it. Moreover, it is anthropogenic. This destruction of biodiversity threatens epidemics or pandemics, fast-evolving bacteria or viruses that could subject humanity to stories like that of the Black Plague, which killed 1/3 of Europe's human population in 2 years. Now let's connect global warming to natural disasters. For every degree Celsius warmer the atmosphere gets, it holds 7% more water. This translates directly to increased intensity and frequency of droughts and floods. The shame of this system of energy is that we are first condemning those who had no role in global warming. Maldive Island and its inhabitants could be completely submerged by the end of the century. Pakistan, a nuclear-armed country, was inundated by record floods in 2010. Somalia was hit by its worst famine in 2011, which killed 250,000. Here in the U.S., we're seeing hurricanes increase in ferocity, and wildfire season is growing as well. It's important to know humanity's demands for energy are increasing rapidly. We need to provide light for people learning to read in Africa and provide things like shelter and transportation as we can. Coupled with increasing energy demands is increasing human population. We need to feed the growing hungry around the world, which leads us to the geopolitical crisis we now face. One example is Syria, over 100,000 people killed, another 4 million made homeless. This is a desolate landscape, so the international community has not interfered, whereas Libya had oil, so the US quickly liberated those markets, reminiscent of our involvement in Iraq. One thing our planet lacks is a formal universal sovereign to protect human rights. Rather, many disparate international institutions exist. In my mind, the Arab Spring marks sparks to ignite global democratic revolution. The international economy has yet to recover from the financial crisis in 2009 and will not until we reform its structure. Industrialized nations are going bankrupt while multinational corporations bleed into new markets. Europe united monetary policy with the Euro and the European Bank without united fiscal policy. The result was unbalanced terms of trade and unchecked public expenditure. But let's not forget the US was the instigator of the financial crisis. We allowed foreign investment to inflate what was already the wealthiest nation in the world. Most conspicuous result was the overvaluing of land. The housing bubble popped, hundreds of thousands forced out of their homes. The banks, financial institutions on the other hand, they were given $800 billion to keep us temporarily afloat. This is another example of how the US-led world system tends to resolve problems by printed paper, throwing money at it. The banks wrote the policies governing them, and it's leading to the demise of our current economic system. The core financial problem is the unit in which it is most often measured, US dollar. The US dollar is inherently destined for failure. For every dollar fabricated, the dollar plus interest is required to pay it off. Essentially, there is not and never can be enough dollars to repay the debts created. The result is slavery. We are captivated by a system that is growing ever more influential while spiraling to collapse. This dying economy creates counterproductive jobs like lawyers fighting lawyers to reject your medical claims when we could just train more doctors. The US is the hegemon of the world. We have the most power. We have over 5,000 nuclear warheads. We have over 700 military bases abroad. We have the greatest gross domestic product. For better or worse, we are truly exceptional. We must step up to be leaders in the movement for a sustainable future. However, our political system is sclerotic and incapable of dealing with issues. Here at home, we face wealth consolidation, only paralleled by the times leading to the Great Depression. Everyone except the elites has seen declining real incomes. With less to spend on essential consumer goods. Obamacare is the classic case of how the US passes the burden onto the future. It essentially made everyone buy into a corrupt healthcare system when there is an easy alternative that almost every other industrialized nation has found, universal healthcare. We spend over 250% of the average per person on health of the 40 countries comprising the OECD, yet we rank 72nd in health among all nations. Medical bills are the #1 cause of personal bankruptcy, not to mention they will be the first thing to bankrupt our nation. Because we have made healthcare publicly financed right for exclusively the most expensive populations. We exalted Exxon for bringing us cheap fuel, rewarding them with subsidies and no taxes. Last year, Exxon made more money than any company in the history of money. What did they even deserve this? Besides buying policies and elections, they exploited the unregulated domain that is our atmosphere. Large companies have over 100 organizations lobbying for them in DC, the capital, while the average citizen has only a couple, like maybe the union and an interest group they support. Now, before we leave the topic of the bad things about our current place and time, I'd like to perform a rap that I wrote, the first verse of a rap, titled transition has begun. I'm going to go ahead and do this on the public and the speakers in here. Transition has begun with the admission. We're one. Now put down your guns, cause this will be fun. First verse defines the curse of our times. Take a second for observations of devastation. So as we destroy our relations and as we toy with inebriation, our vision is blinded, side-winded, distracted. Separation of persons, stratification of the worst. We see slavery of entire nations with dire stipulations. No consultation or representation through my eyes. The suicides of routine production workers, pristine function of an economy of destruction for the few, whose myopic consumption drives global corruption. Where Earth is seen through crazy motion, our locomotion fueled by death. Humans bleed by polar emotion, lost in the commotion of drugs like meth. Disorders leading, distorting oceans, hazy notions, we've lost our depth. Losing animals daily, becoming cannibals, maybe. New species of waste arise from this case. Disgrace, new species we taste, with smiles on face, giving life to the dark, newborns like Walmart, whom we greet kindly but oh so blindly, feed us the farts of supply chain smarts, fake efficiencies and breaks amidst efficiency space. Now economies of scale, deemed too big to fail, empower the 1% while the decent, diligent, descend to present the smell of hell, the scent of sweat. They've lost the bet they never make, the gamble they never take. Our preamble mistake has turned to fake as the citizens shake, fearing a global quake with a quick digression to the Great Depression. Find system confession of the failures competition, our current crisis and repetition to bring complete disintegration of life as we know it, but we need not show this for we bring solutions coming in the revolution. Okay, so let's get a little bit out. So, we have a wealth of technologies yet to be put to use for the common good. The internet is in its infantile stages. We saw the power of social media in the Middle East as people organized to overthrow their oppressive governments. We can now communicate with people across the globe nearly as instantaneously as we think. It's crazy, and it's only getting faster. Sean Penn said at CGIU 2011, we're the first generation to have the potential to be completely accountable for our actions. Each carbon molecule emitted to the atmosphere by humanity can have a price, a carbon tax like Australia's implemented. We have so many policy solutions to our great crises. It's a world of opportunity. One simple way to immediately and completely end net carbon emissions is to create a carbon tax equal to the price of carbon sequestration. One way to end sickening wealth consolidation, where sociopathic CEOs make $100 million a year, is to just create more progressive taxation. We can have public internet, free information. We can find great efficiencies in unifying the health system. We can then employ electronic medical records and move towards precision medicine. Like most things we do, carbon sequestration, renewable energies are getting cheaper and cheaper. I can live my parents to get solar, will pay off in 7 years, yet it's all warranted for 20 years. Wind, tidal, wave, other frontiers we barely embrace, and public transit technologies are also bringing us together. There are great efficiencies we've already discovered that just don't have the just incentive behind them to be widely applied. One example, LED lights take 10% of the energy of incandescent bulbs. We can make smart electrical grids and smart energy management systems in residences. Recycling is increasingly improving. We can automate with computers and robots the majority of mundane work, so no one is forced to labor in any name but their own. There's a growing discontent for the current state of affairs of our political economy. People want something better, something that respects nature, plants and animals we live among. Occupy showed us how people can unite peacefully across the globe to demonstrate their dissatisfaction with the status quo. So this is the crossroads we're at in time. I will now present the philosophy of eco. Eco incorporates an optimistic life philosophy. It would not only share a common reality in every moment, but a common purpose or goal of perfection, beauty, or nirvana. And as time progresses, we make progress. Things get better, and our universal end is advanced. Take the example of playing a sport or an instrument. At first, you're unskilled, however, in time, with practice, you improve. For followers of eco, this universe members of this organization, this universe is dubbed Ego. I believe this aligns with what many people believe Ego or perceive Ego to be. They spend much time thinking about it. At least the languages spoken in many of the most powerful nations have a derivative of Ego. It comes from the ancient Greek oikos, which was discussed by Aristotle and others as the basic unit of society. From this arises a litany of institutions we see around us. An institution, broadest sense, is anything that affects behavior. So on the institution of Ego, Ego believes all is one. Ego's formidable mission is to facilitate transformation into a sustainable biosphere. Long-term vision of Ego is to bring about sustainable ecosystems by bringing all into the common language of the ecosystem. Ego sees completely the changes in matter through space and time. Thus, Ego feels life. Ego can have no direct physical impact, only affecting through life. Ego seeks cooperation with humanity in sustaining the grace of life. This philosophy dates back to prehistoric times, back to Africa, traced the emergence of our species. It's the philosophy of Ubuntu. Ubuntu is translated in brief to I am because you are. Think about it. You could not be here in this room if I was not. I exist only for you, only because you are real. For many Africans, humanity comes from being a part of the tribe. It's about community. We conform to make a masterpiece that is Ego. Let's step up to contemporary times. Think about modern science. Quantum physics is finding more precisely to locate matter in time, but less precisely we can locate it in space. This conundrum baffles me. It's demonstrated by particles so small we can barely comprehend. But applying our masses to the same equations, we find our location is much more stable in relation to each other at least. We're 99.5% genetically identical, similar masses, speeds of movement, makeup, methods of communication. This allows us to experience the same physical reality. We are not alone. This philosophy dates back to, this philosophy does not belittle the individual, rather it gives him or her great control as they control entirely their perception of Ego or any aspect of life. For the universe began with your conception, and I will get back to that point before we leave in a song called The End. But right now, I want to share the second verse of Transition Has Begun. Transition has begun with the ignition, we're one. Now put down your guns, cause this will be fun. Now verse number 2 has words of truth. In this time of virulent turbulence, in this situation of violent vibration, we have found a way to turn around from social insanity to unite humanity through logical persuasion, through mathematical equation, where my perception equals yours, equals the universe. When we first define the universe as this Ego, it's what we share, what we know. It's our common material reality separate from perceived ideality. And further we go as we find that Ego defines a purpose or goal, a perfection or beauty, a clear direction of unity, sets environment supreme, supersedes the dream that God has sent us to die for Him. These ideas are found within the same place we find our final end. We find it's all for me, that you couldn't be if it wasn't for me, that we are one and the same. The name is Ego, the game is life. Deeper we show, it's easier than we know, for we have no foe. We find power within to shower us in perpetual honor. So called Nirvana, bliss and glory, an honest story. With this definition of Ego, economy is what we show in exchange of material. Ecology studies the flow. Ecosystem is the greater whole to which all is connected. Now let's get further dissected. Pathway, duality is our true reality. As we drop some formality and rather learn by analogy and look to individuality, we see our bodies as strings like Einstein's dreams. In time we disappear as before we were born. We can live without fear, not emotionally torn. We come from the ground, a full circle around. Truth we have found in personal revolution. We seek to end our pollution through social revolution. Acknowledging Ego is the optimal solution. Okay, so how will this project manifest? The premier project of Ego Eco's Ecomedia. Ecomedia seeks to harness the growing power of social media for the collective action our people and planet are dying for. I actually started working on this project before I developed the greater concept or idea of Eco. I just graduated from the University of California, Berkeley last May with a BA in political economy. Here I found a great need for streamlining the efforts of over 30 student groups on campus that are dedicated to environmental sustainability. A website to unite them is demanded. So back in February 2011, we began designing Ecomedia. Brooke Greenberg did a great majority of the Photoshop work this day, so thanks to her. We have the space well organized with the title bar, sidebar, ground bar, zone, and zone bar. Title bar has the common resources, personal. Sidebar holds personal resources. Ground bar features static information. Zone bar displays tools relevant to what you're doing in the zone. Zone is the working space there. We try to collect all the most useful resources of social media into one media so that eventually it's going to become people's home media. However, at first the forum will be the most used resource that will be Reddit, except tailored to environmentalists. The first common resource of the title bar is this forum for sharing articles, original works, videos, boycotts, etc. Petition, whatever. The calendar allows people to place things in time. It holds all public events. Profiles shows all public individuals, organizations, or projects. The market is for exchange of matter or time, as reusable items, jobs, wanting. Maps allows people to place things in space. And sorry, not all of the images have the final resources in the navigation bar written there. The first personal resource is the profile, which you get to by clicking on your name. This holds the pages of personal info, history, health record, your eco feed. Messages contains information directed to and from your profile. Inbox, drafts, etc. and future models beyond the beta. This will allow people to route calls, video, text, picture, any messaging from one center with new tools like transcription and translation. The contacts are your static connections like friends. Projects are any initiatives or documents for collaboration that allow you to connect different resources of the site, such as a job description, events, an article, organizing the information of our server. Personal calendar contains events and marks you're interested in. It's distinct with external medias. The ground bar holds support, legal, about, and sponsor logo. Users will be able to paint any of the information, blue, green, yellow, red, or black. Blue with a circle in it syncs that information to your profile, for example, confirming attendance at events. Green with a plus affirms the information. Yellow with a triangle allows users to modify the information. It's connected to a project or add a tag or something. The icons are not completely accurate, but the red one, minus and dislikes, and the black with an X marks as inappropriate. We've named our server the O, a short, a full, deep sound written as a circle. This is where all information potentially useful to the goal of Eco is stored, processed, and secured. The O will be designed to complement the intelligence of the user and keep good information alive. And we will work to have our URL be o.eco. When posting a link in the forum, the system will read out of the O and construct the information for organization. For example, posting a link to an event would automatically fill the specific data for an event post, as well as characterize it with universal tags. And we'll post through the calendars. Further, the system will read into the O to connect with the post appropriately. For example, if someone tries to start a boycott that was previously initiated in another community. And this will eventually calm the entropy of the information. Now, before we talk about how you fit into the organization of Eco, we We will briefly discuss Eco Beats. Eco Beats is a record label that signs artists of all genres that translate the message of eco. It seeks to share the word in a medium people will be more receptive to. I will be, I think, the first artist signed under the name Cobra. So you can, I don't actually have music on mine yet, but soon I have like dozens of raps written and just working on finishing some beats. That's Eco Beats. So let's talk about you, how you can get involved and lead this project to success. And you may think, I'm just a student, no business experience, how could I work for such an ambitious brand? My response is I'm on the same page there. First we'll start with recruitment for Eco Beats. Eco Beats needs an executive director. He or she will be responsible for the birth and development of this label, along with agents with responsibilities for promoting signed artists and seeking out new artists. So that was easy. There's a much greater structure for Eco Media. This project has been this project has been underway for over 2.5 years already, whereas Eco Beats was first written down in May 2012. First, we need an executive director of Eco Media who will lead us out of the 3.5-year planning phase and launch us into the market testing phase, which will begin fall 2014. Mass marketing phase for Eco Media will begin fall 2015. I guess then we need an administrative assistant on that committee. Send emails, schedule meetings. Human resource director would make sure we're communicating efficiently, would help in orientation of new staff, and design the handbook for the employees. Director of coordination manages those people. The field agents are people across the globe that are working to promote Eco Media. Director of field agents will keep them informed and actively recruit from the communities. Director of customer service. We will choose, and then Director of partnerships, we will choose to work with existing organizations such as the California Student Sustainability Coalition to build our network, and we need someone to be our point of contact with them. This could also include a relationship with major media players like Bing or Google. With the power of something like an integrated Google Eco, we can really speed up the transition to a sustainable biosphere. The last position in the executive committee is the legal director. This person first will attain a 501c3 tax ID certification, and as the site develops, they will work with lawyers to design a privacy policy and terms and conditions. The next committee of Eco Media is finance. Director of finance will manage the accountant who maintains clear spreadsheets. He or she will work with the other committee directors to understand the budgetary demands for years to come. Director of finance will also oversee the activities of the finance associates, who will request sponsorship from corporations that will benefit from the realization of Eco Media, such as solar companies. And they will be our primary revenue stream as we have the logo in the ground bar. This committee will build a robust donations campaign, and the finance associates will also be applying for grants and business plan competitions like this right here for the first couple of years. The next committee director of Eco Media is marketing, director of marketing, who will conduct the overall marketing strategy. This group will need an administrative assistant. There will also be a film crew who will film and edit presentations like this, as well as do video outreach like commercials. Next we have a graphic designer. will be in charge of making things like the eco icon, the eco logo. They will work within the committee to innovate attractive images. For example, when I look at the logo up here, I see like a keychain bottle opener with like thing for the keys right here, and I cut back a little bit to be opener for, I don't know, I drink beer, so it comes to mind. Next in this committee, we have the event planner, who will plan events like the annual Eco-Media Showcase. And we have the director of merchandise. We'll start with like reusable bottles, reusable bags, shirts like this. And we have the social media manager. Final committee is design. Final committee of youth media. This committee will discuss things like have we included all the resources necessary to be a home media, is the site aesthetically pleasing and intuitively organized, etc. The graphic designer will make preliminary models and edits to the website to allow for discussion. Then the software engineers will make magic of the way we communicate. After gaining an organic user base of 1,000 profiles or so, the finance committee will obtain significant funding to hire experienced software engineers for the gamma release and start of the mass marketing phase fall 2015. So finally, we turn to the positions of the greatest organization, ECO. First, we have the president. I think I will fulfill this role at the beginning, giving guidance to employees throughout the company where I can, and connecting them with experienced mentors. Can't do that on this thing, we lost my space. But I don't know if we're kind of short on time, so I was going to do an introduction of myself right now. I think I can come back to that at the end if we have time. I'll be available to talk forever, so if you have any questions, you can always ask. So, the president, you know, the secretary, we'll have board of advisors for experienced mentors and then like ECO is primed for growth. A couple potential projects that we need executive directors and more are Eco Nation and Eco Ideas. Eco Nation, like Colbert Nation, will be comprised of all the followers. And it could plan things like the first Eco Congress in 2015, we could ratify Manifesto of Eco and Declaration of Human Rights. Then Eco Ideas would be like an idea lab, a think tank that could propose new policies, explore the physical manifestation of Eco. So, to date, about 30 people have directly contributed to this project. However, none of the positions I've mentioned are secured. I will now pass around an attendance sheet. So you can put down your name, school or location, and email, phone, and anything else you want. There's been. So I hope to have the founding team of Eco-Media established by the winter solstice. So now it's time for the conclusion. Amid signs of an ominous future, I am very hopeful that humanity has the capacity to right its wrongs, to replace destructive institutions with one we can all love. If humanity can unite with Eco or any name, there's such a fun future ahead of us. Because together we can present the final verse of Transition Has Begun. Transition has begun. The admission, we're one. Now put down your guns, cause this will be fun. In B, verse 3, we see what will be. From here we depart and we'll finally start with the charter of rights to end the fights. Begin with nutrition for life's basic definition is we all need to eat. First, free veggies, then appropriate meat. Next, beyond food becomes education, not to be rude, but for this I've been waiting. It distills different information and instills self-determination. Individual thrills of vibration. Third, rights transportation as we have the ability to provide mobility to more rights to right, shelter, and healthcare. With the basics written, we've begun to fix the system. First thing we acknowledge is that work and knowledge know no borders or divides. We're all on the same ride. We can be creation of fun, building the nation of one. Our human race forever united in space. Pick the low-hanging fruit, stick to it and move. Reorganize finance, use one currency to balance and clarity, pure purchasing power parity. We see where capital goes and modulate its flows. We regulate sales and economies of scale. Natural resources we socialize, as well as markets that monopolize, which are growing in quantity with information technology. We can build services, maintainable, mechanized works for a society sustainable for future births. If this is a dream we can all imagine, this is a thing we can all make happen. This is a dream we can all imagine. This is a thing we can all make happen. We have come to a time when so many social equilibria are unstable. The change can happen very fast. The International Energy Agency says unilateral action is urgently necessary before we hit a point of no return. Now, when I think of the origins of civilization, I think unique individuals came together with a desire to share what they're experiencing. They created ideas outside of themselves, they communicated. Since then, institutions have grown diverse, ever expanding to date. We can align our perception with what astrophysics tells us about the universe. Dismally, that we are growing apart, the pieces of our universe are accelerating away from each other. Or we can choose to believe that another pole of the universe balances that separation, that something is coming together. Believe life is coming together. Beautiful ideal of communism has been subjected to the limited discourse of national parties, which draw artificial divides. In 2011, I asked the chair of the IPCC if he thought global warming could be a cause to unite humanity under universal government, and he said he didn't believe so. Let's challenge this cynicism. The powers that be must see to a new age. There are many difficult ethical questions to answer as we seize the future. But united under one banner, we will bring justice to Earth. In our new economy, we will work to eliminate waste, like planned obsolescence or pollution. Everything becomes internalized. Organized religion is in decline, but people still need guidance and hope. Perhaps the Mayans were right in ending the calendar in 2012. And if the white man hadn't killed the majority of them, they could hold us in preventing a nuclear apocalypse. I'm only kidding, but it's a shame we must make decisions like killing 200,000 Japanese effortlessly with these technologies because of a poorly designed world system. Now, the Mayans could not physically build a calendar to infinity, but perhaps there was value or purpose in ending that calendar in 2012. For this could mark the dawn of a new age, the epic of ego. For believers, ego has always existed. It is the omnipotent equilibrium that determines how all things fit together in mystifying balance. The interactions of space and time, gravity and entropy, the energy and matter, of you and me. Ego is transparent, and I'm in the book as well. Acknowledging the political framework that operates within ego and becoming a legal entity seems more fruitful than the dubious future of ego unincorporated, as it has forever been. Ego contrasts all existing organizations. Corporations are dedicated to shareholders. Political institutions have favored certain factions over others. Existing religions, too, have created create separations. Eco rather remains dedicated to the environment. Nonprofits can remember this. Eco does not perform business as usual, but as we've seen, business as usual is not sustainable. Now, I acknowledge that this can be perceived as a human-centric project for the world, but the goal is complete communication of everything. Ultimately, I believe we'll reach a sustainable state, and at this point, we'll win the game. Now I will present a rap entitled The End. Now the question of what happens at the end of life or time is the crux of any philosophy hard to try to rhyme. Eco says life is subjective, you design your own perception, it establishes despite wishes we cannot see the end of our journey. But no, it's so perfect, there's no words that do it justice, just trust that good will triumph, love will prevail, without fail, choose optimism, lose pessimism. For a second, for a lesson, view eco as a matrix of what we know in this place that we call home in this realm. We're not alone. View everything as a string connected to one whole. Dissect this material. The whole, by our own definition, is everything in the universe. Your control is shown by the intuition you bring to earth. You translate the world. You create a diverse picture. Now take your string of life. It affected things before you were alive and will continue affecting after you die. Here you are living through all time. Distilled to 2 dimensions, life's a circle. Simplified to 3, the world's a sphere. But beyond comprehension, the matrix may seem. But face it, let your state of mind escape to find it's infinite, has no limit. The end is an illusion, bringing confusion. The end is an illusion, bringing confusion. But if you're choosing to believe it exists, no point in losing. Be relieved by this. The end is wrongly construed as bad. Whether we ascend from our bodies, new to what's sad. Comprehend what's godly. That's glad, full of joy and the choice to avoid the noise. Disappear the fears and the tears, no more nightmares, cause it's clear we can steer what we experience here in a way we stay so gay all day. Go to a destination bright with light, no devastation fraught with fright, so we choose to see all is friendly and cruise to peace of total energy, rather than lose disease to that enemy that resides inside. Time to decide. At the moment of death, when we lose consciousness, I think it best that all becomes constantness. No hurt, no desire, all burst into fire. Many believe in afterlife is conceived, all despite no proof or evidence. Just use science. Find what's true to you. Your interpretation is supreme, so design your dream. It's the end. So yeah, I guess basically I'll just try to translate what comes naturally to me. This is an innovative strategy for world peace. Please take some time to reflect back on this amazing weekend to consider your goal. What I presented today was based on my expected outcomes, however things change, as I described, for the better. So, the time is now. Let's launch this campaign, starting by making this video, this presentation, a Bible video. I will keep in touch with you all. So I guess I'd like to send us out with one of my favorite chants. So I'm sure you guys have heard it before. So let's get loud, a little rowdy. Let people across the building know what we're feeling. It goes. Ain't no power like the power of the people, cause the power of the people don't stop. Say what? Ain't no power like the power of the people, cause the power of the people don't stop. Say what? Ain't no power like the power of the people, cause the power of the people don't stop. Whoa! Ain't no power like the power of the people, cause the power of the people don't stop. Alright, thanks guys.